Listening Library presents The Black Reckoning, Book 3 of the Books of Beginning, by John Stevens. Read for you by Jim Dale. For My Sisters. Emma pounded against the giant man's back. She twisted about to claw at his face and eyes. She kicked and thrashed. It did no good. Rourke had slung her over his shoulder, pinning her in place, and was walking with long, sure strides toward the flaming portal in the center of the clearing. "Emma! Emma!" Two voices called to her out of the darkness. Emma craned her neck to try and see into the wall of trees that ringed the clearing. The first voice belonged to Michael, her brother, but the second... She had first heard it a few moments earlier, just before Rourke had dropped the glamour that had disguised him as Gabriel. The second voice belonged to Kate, her sister, whom she had thought was lost forever. "Kate! I'm here! Kate!" Emma twisted around to look past Rourke, to see how close they were to the portal, how much time she had. The portal was a high wooden arch wreathed in fire, and they were close enough that Emma could feel the heat from the blaze. 3 more steps, and it would be too late. Just then a figure appeared, stepping forward through the flames. It was a boy. He looked to be Kate's age, or perhaps a little older. He wore a dark cloak, and his face was hidden by the shadow of the hood. All she could make out was a pair of brilliant green eyes. Then Emma saw the boy make a gesture with his hand. Chapter 1. Captive. "Let me out! Let me out!" Emma's throat was ragged from shouting. Her hands throbbed from pounding her fists against the metal door. "Let me out!" She had woken with a jolt several hours earlier, covered in sweat, Kate's name upon her lips, to find herself alone in a strange room. She didn't question the fact that it was no longer night, that she was no longer in the clearing. She didn't even wonder where she now was. None of that mattered. She'd been abducted. She was a prisoner. She had to escape. It was that simple. "Let me out!" The first thing she'd done, after trying the door and confirming that it was indeed locked, had been to inspect her cell, to see if it offered any obvious means of escape. It hadn't. The walls, floor, and ceiling were made from large blocks of black stone. The 3 small windows, too high up for Emma to reach, showed nothing but blue sky. Besides that, there was the bed on which she'd woken. Really just a mattress and a few blankets, and some food. A plate of flatbread, bowls of yogurt, and yellow-brown hummus, some burned, unidentifiable meat, a clay jug of water. The food and water Emma had hurled out a window in a fit of pride and anger, an act she was now regretting, as she was both hungry and very, very thirsty. "Let me out!" Emma leaned exhausted against the door. She felt the urge to sink to the floor, put her face in her hands and sob. But then she thought of Kate, her older sister, and of hearing Kate's voice as Rourke had carried her across the clearing. Their sister had returned from the past only to die right in front of them, and Michael, though he was keeper of the Book of Life, had been unable to bring her back, leading Emma to question what, then, was the point in having something called the Book of Life. But she had heard Kate's voice. That meant Michael must have succeeded. Kate was alive, and knowing Kate was out there somewhere meant there was no way, like 0.0000% chance, that Emma was just going to sit down and cry. "Let me out!" Her forehead was still pressed against the cold metal of the door, and she was screaming directly into it, feeling the vibrations as she struck the door with her fists. "Let me!" Emma stopped. She held her breath.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?